There we go. Hello everybody and welcome to Wowhead Weekly number 171. This is the first show since BFA is launched. We've had a bit of a break also because of Gamescom coming in the way, but we are back. I'm Annie, also known as Annie Fuchsia. I'm a full-time streamer on Twitch, and I am here with my co-host, as usual, the lovely Perculia.
Hey everyone, I run Wowhead, and it's been a really exciting time with Battle for Azeroth just launching, millions of people using the site, and always really happy we can do this sort of show to just let everyone know what we're working on with the site and what are some of the most popular discussion topics in the news. We have a giveaway today. The show is sponsored by Razer. You may have seen we did a recent article on MMO gaming mice, and for our giveaway today, they have graciously given us 2 Naga Trinity mice, one for the Alliance, one for the Horde, and the keywords to enter are Razer Alliance and Razer Horde, and you just need a space in between those words. We prefer if you just enter one, not both, because it'd be weird if you wanted to play both sides, but it's an honor system. But so yeah, just try to, enter if you're for the Alliance or for the Horde, not being a double agent.
A double agent. Yeah, this is our way of knowing who is for the Horde here. So, thank you guys for letting us know. This way I can ban you all. No, apparently Perk is for the Horde today. So all the for the Horde people, you guys have a representative here. Right, and I have an enemy.
Destroying my arm because he's like, I don't like this Horde jacket. I'm all about eating it. Or maybe that means he is for the Horde because he likes to eat things that he enjoys.
Yeah, so Perk is for the Horde. I am for the Alliance. And this is some new merch that we just got recently from Blizzard. But we'll talk about that a little bit later. So what has been going on? Code. Yeah, we have a discount code for you guys. As mentioned, it is the first show since BFA. BFA has launched. We have been waiting, but it's finally here. And so let's jump straight into what is actually new. What is happening? What is happening this week? What is good to know in the game? The first thing that we wanted to mention is just a quick note. Not something that you may realize straight away, but the artifact knowledge, just like back in Legion, has started its what would you call it? It's leveling.
Yeah,
it's ramp up.
Yeah, it's catch-up system, so things are easier. The artifact knowledge is kicking in again.
So this catch-up system, in case you don't know how it works, it's for every week?
We're not sure, but
we're not sure. For some kind of time period. Once that time period has passed, the rate at which you gain your AP is increased. And this is a way to help you, for example, if you decide to reroll something else, like 2-3 months into the expansion, you're very behind, this ramp-up system will automatically make it a little bit easier for you to catch up to everybody else who's been, playing since the beginning of the expansion. So that has now kicked in.
Yeah.
As the first
another
week.
Important change that went through is changes to the auction house deposit system. It seems like the system is still not perfect, but it's meant to discourage people making single stacks of trade goods like herbs or ore. So the deposit cost of some profession materials is increased on a per stack basis. So it's meant to encourage you to put up larger amounts because then you save money overall. There's also probably going to be some more stuff coming in an actual patch. This is more of a Band-Aid type thing. And I'm sure Gumdrops on the weekend.
Yeah.
I'm sure Gumdrops will talk about this in more detail on his economy article on Wowhead on Saturday.
I'm very curious if they're going to make more big changes to the auction house, because the auction house hasn't really changed ever. It's been the same sort of basic auction house for the over 10 years now. And I think they noticed, or I think we all noticed, how the auction house was really, really slow at the beginning of the expansion. Everybody is just, using add-ons, which makes them not have to think about it, and posting thousands of stack ones just because it's more convenient and easier to sell it. Or I'm not sure if it's easier to sell it, but it just seems convenient. And Blizzard is at least aware that it is a problem to some extent, and are because of this changing the deposit cost, as Perk mentioned. Is it enough? I mean, people
are a little, yeah, I'm not sure about that.
I think most people won't probably even notice.
Right.
Because the thing is, if your items do get sold, you get the deposit back anyways.
Right.
So I think most people probably don't even notice. But if they do, hopefully it will discourage them from posting stacks of 1 and, start posting stacks of 10 or stacks of 200 even. That would be even better, like enchanting mats and similar. But we'll see. I'm hoping for some more changes to the auction house because I feel like it needs it.
Yep. In addition to the usual weekly reset for things like Island Expeditions and Mythic Zero, Azerite armor can now be traded. We learned this a few days ago at the Q&A, and yeah, basically they made a mistake thinking that it shouldn't be tradable, and now it works like all other types of loot. You can trade it if you already have a piece at that item level or higher. So that should be good, being able to trade that to your friends.
Yeah, I think so too. I was a bit not sure like why it needed to be non-tradable at first, because they're not very rare. Like Azerite armor is powerful, of course. We all want our Azerite armor, but an Azerite piece in itself is not rare, so it feels like a bit silly to not be able to trade it. It's not like getting a legendary or something. But yeah, so it's good. I think it's a good change that we can now trade it, especially since everybody's just spamming mythics, and you might get same items, and you don't need 3 or 4 different Azerite armors. Like 1 is enough for each slot.
Yeah. We should also look forward a little bit to next week, because we expect the world boss to actually spawn this time. There was an error like 2 weeks ago where it looked like it spawned, but it wasn't there. And this boss will drop 355 loot. Normal and Heroic Uldir will open, and we will have boss guides by Fat Boss TV for all bosses. Mythic Plus will be available at higher keystones, so not just Mythic Zero. And then PvP Season 1 and Conquest progression begins. Now, we left out Warfronts because Blizzard hasn't said when they're actually starting yet, so I don't know if that's coming on the 4th. But that's still a lot of stuff that we do know is coming next week on the 4th or 5th if you are in EU.
Do you think it's possible Warfront comes in without an official announcement? Just like, oh, it's active now.
I think they're going to stagger it more.
Okay.
Like, they're all about staggering stuff. Like, there was less to do at the start of BFA than there was in Legion. Like, there wasn't a Suramar. There wasn't, like, artifact hidden appearances. There wasn't stuff, like the Illidan quest. So, I think they want to stagger content out more. So maybe, I don't know, like, we'll defeat Uldir and we'll learn the lore about that raid. Then it will be like, okay, and now we're back to fighting in our Warfronts again, type thing.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess we could maybe see it the week after, maybe even later. I guess we'll see.
Yeah, it's also like, why would you want to do the world boss for 355 loot if the Warfront boss is up for 370 loot?
Wait, were those just example numbers, or does it actually drop 370?
No. Yeah, when your faction controls the Warfront, Arathi Highlands has like a Demolisher, and that drops 370 loot.
I didn't know about the item level. Okay.
Yeah, I think they want to stagger, because like, why would you?
Oh yeah.
Do the boss that drops the worst loot if the one that drops better loot is available.
Oh yeah, that's for sure. I had no idea it was 370. That's definitely going to be staggered. What is the item level for normal mode for the new raid?
It is, I didn't publish this yet, but I wrote a guide to it yesterday, so let me pull up the guide.
I think that would be good to know as well for reference of item levels.
Yeah, 340 Alifara, 355 normal, 370 heroic, 385 mythic, and
So Warfront will be like heroic rating then.
Yeah, and gear can Titan Forge up to eye level 400 with the opening of Uldir.
Okay. Gotcha.
So it seems like this week's a little lighter in what to do, but that's because Blizzard wants to like introduce a few things every week, so it's not like, okay, now we did everything, now we're not going to play WoW.
I know a lot of people are a little bit sad about that, the staggering, especially this week. Like a lot of people felt like things should have been happening this week at least, like the latest reset. I'm kind of happy though because I was at Gamescom for a whole week, meaning I was not able to play as much as I wanted to, and coming back and realizing like, hey, I'm actually not that behind feels pretty good. I'm happy with the staggering, but I do understand people who would have preferred to not have the staggering. I can't, base it on my
I
travels.
mean, yeah, I mean, my thoughts are that this week they expect people to be finally unlocking like Dark Iron Dwarves and Macro Orcs and playing them, but I'm curious where the kind of fun collectible content will kick in. Like if I wanted to do a Suramor, or if I wanted to collect a bunch of weapon transmog, or do something like Withered Army training. There's no real equivalent to that stuff. So I hope that comes at some point.
Like, do you mean something which is purely cosmetic?
Yeah, like if someone is like, oh, I want to go, farm some toys or do this fun mini game, or just like do an immersive, like long quest line, or do some fun achievement hunting, or like just have fun going around the world to collect stuff. There seems to be less of that at the start of BFA, and I think that that's an important part of WoW. So I hope that makes it into the game at some point. And it's not just like, oh, like now you can grind your islands and now you can grind your RNG mythics. Like I just hope they add some of the more structured fun things, like like I said, like the Falcosaur, like the Withered Army training, or collect all the portals in Suramars, fun stuff like that.
I think so what I've been doing is I think a part of that could have been Island Expeditions. So the reason I think Island Expeditions could have been that 100%, but because of the rarity of the drops at the end of it, it doesn't feel like it. So I feel like what you're describing would have been perfect if Island Expeditions had that, if they dropped a currency that could be used for the vanity items, or something similar, because at the moment, like you said, islands, people are using that for the AP, the weekly AP, and then they kind of stop doing it. But if you could collect something going there every time, then you're kind of working towards a like a cosmetic or vanity item. I think that would be really cool. Whether training was not working well, it kind of was, because for every time you played it, you became stronger, right? Like you unlocked the different what were they, like buffs for your withered?
Yeah, you could dress up some of the withered, and then they were stronger, which meant that you could progress farther.
Exactly.
And then you could, as you quested in Stormar, you got more ancient mana, so you could then recruit more withered. And it just was like, it was a really popular mini game on the site.
Because I feel like Island Expeditions is, or can be at least, more fun than Wither training. But I think the rewards is a bit like, apart from AP, you don't really feel like you're getting anything from it. So I think if they maybe if they had some random drops at the completion of it, and then some things that you can work towards, using the doubloons, or a different currency, or maybe you can use the doubloons to have a thing, similar to Diablo, where it increases your magic find. Like, if you use this many doubloons in the next island expedition that you do, maybe it like increases the chance that you'll get one of the rewards, like, because there's so many pets. Like, it's actually an
there's
insane
28 pets. Yeah,
that's crazy.
And there's so much transmog as well. There's,
and at first I was
sets.
like, yeah, it's crazy. And at first I was like, oh, that's fine. Like, even if I don't get any, like, people will eventually get them. I'll just buy them off the auction house. Then I realized there's an achievement which requires you to actually get them yourself. That's crazy. So that means I'm supposed to get 28 pets, and well, I think it was only the pets part which was actually an achievement. But that still means I need to get every single pet by playing Island Expeditions. And I've done a lot of them. Okay, maybe not that many, but I've done, enough to get my cap for like 2 weeks now. 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And I have gotten nothing.
I heard one of the devs was tweeting yesterday asking if the drop rate seems to have gotten better, so I think they want to tweak it. Okay. But yeah, I think that people like just having like a single like solo player thing that they can do and feel like they are working towards a goal, and then they achieve that goal. Like if they have a bunch of time on the weekend to play, they just want to like immerse themselves in like a checklist of to do stuff, and then they win at the thing. And like Island Expeditions are kind of a bit too RNG. It's not like, well, if I do 10 of them, I'll get a pet. It's like, well, if I do 10 of them, I could get nothing.
Yeah, exactly. I think some kind of progression system would be nice to give more incentive to do it. And I was also, for people who are interested in PvP, I was also a little bit sad about how Duelers Guild is not very popular. It's kind of understandable because you don't really get much from it. There's a few achievements, but there's nothing else than that. So what I found most of the time is when I'm queuing up, there's nobody queuing.
Oh, interesting.
So, like I'm just not getting any opponents. So the only time it works is like when I'm streaming, because then I have people who are in my stream who are queuing up as well. But maybe it needs something more to give people more reason to use it.
I mean, there is a tabard and a title from it. Hopefully that could be something. But yeah, so the one thing people have been able to kind of work on is unlocking the Mag'har Orcs and Dark Iron Dwarfs. And we've been playing through these and doing their unlock scenarios. And I know we discussed them like a few months ago, but now that we can actually play them, there were some, interesting notes on them that we wanted to share. So just to run down quickly, for the Alliance, you need to complete the war campaign and exalt it with 7th Legion. And for the Horde, it's Exalted Honorbound and their war campaign. If you faction change a character, your reputation is not lost, it just transfers over, but your war campaign progress has to be redone again. And
that's good to know. So maybe complete it before you faction change in that case.
Yep. And you can track your progress on the Wowhead attunement tracker. You can just type your character in at wowhead.com/attunements, and it's like, you're 70% through this and 20% through that. We do not know what Kulturas and Zandalar are yet, but we'll add them as soon as we do know. And if you need incentives to play them, the Dark Iron Dwarfs have a Corehound mount, and they have really cool hairstyles, and their hair is on fire, and they have interesting, like, Black City facial tattoos, so that's cool. And for the Mag'har Orcs, they represent all the orc clans of Draenor. It's not just the Mag'har from Outland, because they're AU orcs, alternate universe orcs, and they have a wolf mount, and they have 3 tins for their heritage armor set reflecting the Warsong, Blackrock, and Frostwolf. So the Dark Iron unlock scenario is pretty similar to what we've spoken about, so I don't really want to get into that again. It's like, it's kind of predictable. It's like, oh, the Dark Iron Dwarves are mining something, and you go to Molten Core, and you go to Firelands, and there's Ragnaros. Like, it's, if you know the lore, it makes a lot of sense. But the Mag'har Orcs, it's pretty controversial. I know we've covered it a lot, but we keep finding more and more info on what's going on with them. It's really controversial because Yrel, who was like, the heroic character of Warlords, is now really hostile to the orcs, and we left them in Warlords like, peaceful and happy, and now it's really sad. So yeah, like, if you remember the Argus cinematic where Illidan is fighting against Zera, and the light is being tyrannical, basically the Naru have created a lot of havoc in Draenor. Without the presence of the Fel, the light has been corrupting things. So we also have those interesting parallels to main lore again. So for example, the equivalent of Garrosh is an orc that's decided to join Yrel's army of the light. Like, he's still, being extremist, but in a different way.
Yeah. Always betraying.
The equivalent of Thrall is a female warrior, and she's the one that helps the Mag'har escape to our universe. Grommash in this one makes a heroic sacrifice in both timelines. He buys time for the other orcs to escape. And I don't know if you have this on the screen, but I wanted to read a little bit of the Sermon of the High Exarch, because this was something we haven't shared before with the Datamine broadcast text.
I do have it.
Okay. So what we are reading now is a sermon given by Yrel, and this drops when you defeat one of the mini Draenor Draenei mobs. So it's, brothers and sisters, decades have passed since the last vestiges of the Legion were driven from Draenor. We could not have accomplished this noble undertaking without the aid of the Orc clans, united as the Mag'har. Our fondest wish is for all the people of Draenor to remain unified in purpose. Sadly, this dream is not shared by all of those who once stood beside us. Many noble orcs have embraced the light. Exarch Hellscream has been an example for his people to follow. Yet sadly, even his own father resists the true path. I believe with all my heart that the Mag'har are destined to join us as servants of the light. But first, they must be taught to trust the Naaru as we do. The Light Mother has blessed me with visions. I know that one day the army of the light will march across the great dark beyond and bring order to countless troubled worlds. That bold future begins here, with us. We must make Draenor whole again. I call upon you all to ensure that the future promised by the Light Mother is fulfilled. Purge the infection that prevents Draenor's heart from being whole. The light will forge a new future for the orcs. But first, we must save the Mag'har from themselves. No more division, no more defiance. In the light, we shall be one. So, and if you remember at the end of Warlord, like her like catchphrase was always, in the light, we are one. Like Velen was telling her that. It was a rallying cry, and now it's really sinister. Yeah. So, it's basically, Illidan was right. The light, if it's unchecked, can lead to really bad things. And now we have the scenario where the Draenei are trying to purge the Mag'har that don't follow them. And in the main timeline, the orcs were attacking the Draenei. And in the main timeline, they were corrupted by the Legion of the Fel. And in the alternate timeline, it's the light. And in this scenario,
is the radical.
Yeah. In the scenario, everything has this weird yellow tinge to it. And if you open up the map of Gorgrond, a lot of the forest areas look destroyed. So it's like, wow, Draenor's being destroyed anyway. Like, we didn't do anything. This is really sad. And it's sort of like, I wonder if this was ever meant to be in Warlords, or if this was part of the new story movement closer to BFA, how everything is, darker, and we're learning that if we do something heroic, there is a downside to it. Because Draenor ended on a pretty upbeat note. It was almost too upbeat, like, why is Grommash working with Yrel? He was trying to kill her people at the start. This makes no sense. And now it's like, we didn't do anything positive. Yeah. Draenor's still being destroyed. They're still hating each other. One race is still being eradicated. One magical force went unchecked and it's destroying the land. So it, kind of makes you, it's pretty, it's just sad, with how it really complicates what we thought was like a very neat expansion, how it tied up.
It just brings fate into the picture, because even the different characters, we see how they have like a sort of equivalent or similar characteristic, similar fate, you could say, in both timelines. So it's kind of like, can we even affect anything, or is it just things are supposed to happen and unfold in a certain way and we can't do anything about it?
Right. Well, I mean, there are a few things that's like, Illidan destroyed the Naaru and Yrel didn't, and that's why it's being corrupted. But it just seems that, like, we learned in Legion, like, we did something heroic with Sargeras, and now we're at war, and, everything's horrible. And it's like, we thought we did well in Warlords, but actually we didn't, and everything's horrible. And we thought we did well in Mop when we put Garrosh on trial, but he escaped, and, everyone's like,
there has to be a problem to solve, right?
Yeah. So, I don't know, we're not very good at this whole being heroic and, like, solving problem stuff.
Yeah, maybe we shouldn't be called champions anymore. Maybe we're not champions. No, okay. We're still champions.
But, yeah, it's definitely making you... I mean, I'm thinking more about the lore in Warlords, and I suspect, as a silver lining, more people are actually aware of the lore in Warlords due to this scenario.
That's true, actually. It brings it back, yeah.
They're like, there were these alternate timeline parallels. Oh, that's kind of cool. But, I think people are just upset because Yrel was a really cool, heroic character, and then we just sort of, she reappears, and now she's just, looks very villainous and horrible. Even though you could argue that, Grommash was trying to destroy her people at the start of Warlord, so she has reason to be kind of,
on guard.
Critical. Yeah. I mean, I don't want to say, I want to go back to Warlords of Draenor, but I would be curious to learn more about this alternate universe, because it seems like the lore seems more fleshed out here than in certain parts of Warlords.
Yeah, that's actually a good point. And maybe this is giving that sort of way over there. Like maybe we'll see more now that the Magor orcs are with us. Maybe there will be a reason to go back again.
Yeah, and especially Yrel in the end cinematic was like, "Oh, if your people need anything, call upon me." And I was like, "Oh, but like, how come we got the Magar instead?"
Yeah.
Yrel was the one who's gonna, call in a favor.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we have videos of this whole playthrough, and I'll probably try to write an analysis on the parallels more because I like talking about that sort of stuff. But yeah, it's just lots of really neat parallels between the main timeline and alternate timeline, and us not maybe being as heroic and awesome as we think.
Aw, feels bad, man.
I know.
We're
Well, it's like,
doing our
oh,
best.
we have Sargeras, and then it's like Azshara's like, oh, awesome, I hated Sargeras. I'm gonna like do all my stuff now that my enemy is no longer a threat.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, speaking of that,
Yeah,
you
speaking of Azshara.
were you in the room when they revealed Azshara?
I was right outside. But apparently, in a way, it's kind of good that I missed it because they showed the German version first.
Oh.
So that means you have to watch everything and not understand anything. And then you have to wait till like they show the English one so you can actually be immersed and know what is going on.
I would be cool to see the German version because I'm sure N'Zoth would sound very very cool in German.
I am a little bit sad though. I wish I was in the room, at least for the English one too, because I can imagine the what's the word, like the life of the crowd when those kind of things are shown. I love it, but I missed it. I was in the middle of like walking between halls, and I just missed the time point when that happened.
Yeah,
but yeah, that's a good point. Maybe the German would have been even more creepier. You know, when you don't know the language and you hear them speak, I think that could sound even scarier.
Yeah, like the whole "I am a god" thing.
Yeah,
I want to go
the screen is shaking and everything. Yeah,
yeah. But yeah, so it's a pretty long cinematic. I don't know if we want to watch the whole thing, but there were some interesting points I thought it would be cool to discuss because I was really impressed by the art and visuals in this.
Yeah. It was amazing. I guess what we could do is link it in the chat.
Yeah. It was a lot longer than the other Warbringers ones. So,
it was.
Yeah.
It was longer.
Yeah.
I mean, even the opening scene, it's like you see all this stuff happen, and then suddenly it says Blizzard Entertainment presents, and it's like, oh wait, it hasn't even started properly. It's just getting started. So that gives perspective of how much was actually in that cinematic.
So the first thing I wanted to discuss here, so we assume everyone's seen the cinematic because it has like millions of views on YouTube. But if for some reason you haven't, Queen Azshara has been this like shadowy character that we knew was this queen and everyone loved her even though she secretly didn't really like anyone and just wanted more power. And she had to deal with Sargeras to take over the world, and then he didn't care about that. He just wanted to destroy the world, and then she was betrayed by him, and then her empire got sunk with the Sundering, and then she had this deal with N'Zoth to save her people so she could remain queen in some form. And what we learned, this was really important because we've never seen N'Zoth before, and we didn't know we didn't know the terms of the deal. Like everyone was like, oh, was she corrupted? Was she forced into being a Naga? Why did she want to be a Naga? So we learned a lot about her personality, and that she went into this deal, she rejected his deal, and she got what she wanted. But it's done really masterfully in such a way where you're not really sure if she win or was he manipulating her.
Yeah.
So what do you think? Who do you think played who?
It's like I think for me, I feel like it's definitely N'Zoth who's got the upper hand because I just feel like he's way too powerful to be played, you know. But at the same time, seeing her courage and just saying no and saying that he would be the god of nothing, like those things were really cool. I'm just like, wow. I didn't realize I like Queen Azshara. She's actually really cool. But I am afraid for her that I think N'Zoth is he's got the upper hand.
So I think so. At first, I was like, yeah, you're badass. Then I was like, oh no,
Mm-hmm.
maybe. Then when I saw the imagery where it was her tiny figure in front of the eye, I'm
Yeah,
like,
that
oh,
one.
maybe he's kind of in charge here.
Yeah, because she's
But
like
then
the size of like
he's
one vein
tiny.
in the eye.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then he's in the prison and she's just going around doing what she wants. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
and she didn't like the deal at first, and she's probably thinking, well, if I give him this empire, and it's been 10,000 years, she hasn't really done anything visible. It's like, well, if I give him this empire, he has no need for me. So she's probably off doing her own thing, and I almost wonder if all of her meddling in BFA is just her doing her thing and trying to get like power for herself. You always have to wonder if she's gonna like turn on him at some point if she gets enough
Yeah.
power.
That's what I was thinking as well because of her. I think we saw a lot of strength in her in this Warbringer
Hmm.
overall. Not
Yeah.
just that part of the scene, but also the starting scene itself is her, protecting her people from the big waves. And you could see how there was a voice that was saying to let go, and she was refusing to. Like she tried for as long as she could to keep it to protect them. And I think she has a strong will, and I think if she's able to, in one way or another, like have her own way and go against him, I think she would.
Yeah, and at the very final line of the Resto Shaman artifact, the book you read, it's all about Azshara, which I think no one really realized because the Resto Shaman artifact was not that popular. But there's tons of lore in it, and the final line is one day the world would be hers again, and she would not let it slip through her fingers a second time. So, you
Mm.
know, she wants Azeroth. She it's like she's building her palace again, but she wants the full deal.
Mm-hmm.
She's very ambitious.
Mm-hmm.
I also wanted to touch upon when you were saying about protecting the people, how I thought that was a really interesting choice to open the cinematic with because
Yeah.
um she did really horrible stuff leading up to that. Like she had to deal with Sargeras to obliterate different races she didn't like, and she didn't care when other cities were being destroyed by him, because she thought that, oh, he's getting rid of all the bad races, and then with his power, I'll reshape the world how I want it. But the cinematic opens where she looks really sympathetic and charismatic, how, she's protecting the wall for her people. And then you realize that she doesn't really care about the people. She likes the idea of having people serving her so she can feel like a queen.
Yeah, she
Um,
can't be a queen if there's no people.
right, but she doesn't. I don't think she actually feels bad for them. And even when she
Mm.
negotiates with
Mm-hmm.
him, she's just like, "Well, I want to be queen and like do whatever you want with my people. They'll just be your army, but like I'm not the slave. But yeah, the rest of them they can be slaves."
Then the question is also, so what does it mean to be a queen?
Right.
Like for her, like what does she want in terms
I
of
think
being
she
a
wants.
queen?
So I think she wants the adoration of her people because she was like very limp floating in the water, and
Mm-hmm.
then her crown fell off, and you could tell like that angered her, and then all of her people turned on her and said that she betrayed them, and she was really upset by that.
Mm-hmm.
So with this deal she can now say, look, you were all going to die, I made this deal, and now you are all alive in some way, and
Okay.
then they're
Mm-hmm.
all loyal to her forever.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's what she wants. But I thought it was really interesting how the cinematic opened and like it didn't really tell you about her past history. So if you didn't know Azshara, you'd probably be like, wow, like what a sympathetic queen. Like look at all this stuff she's doing, to protect her people.
Mm-hmm.
Because like that sort of was her charm. Like she would look very like sympathetic and beautiful, but secretly, like just be very corrupt and like angry at, everything.
Yeah.
Um, Another thing I wanted to discuss was the use of the circle imagery because everyone, Il'gynoth whispers, and it's the whole, to find him, drown yourself in the circle of stars, and your coming was foretold in the rings. The long circle is nearly complete. And while the Jaina one I think had like a very strong audio presence, and Sylvanas was just kind of this like narrative and like character contrast, the Azshara Cinematic had a really strong visual motif with the use of circles. Like there was a lot of stuff with eyes and
Mm-hmm.
pupils. Azshara seeing herself reflected in eyes, and the camera would then cut up to her face. A lot of that stuff with her glowing golden eyes. And then when she finally transforms, that's again in front of N'Zoth's eye. So just a lot of circle imagery, and it seems very, ominous. The Shadow Priest artifact said earlier, the true battle draws nigh as the circle nears completion. Agmat is talking about how, fool, the circle awakened us all. And yeah, I think that the circle was there for a reason. And my Bright Paw agrees. Come on, Bright Paw. So yeah, I think the circle was there for a reason, and we're getting old gods in BFA. The circle nears completion. Maybe this means that, Sargeras started this mess, and now he's out of the picture in his prison. Mm-hmm. N'Zoth's in his prison, and Azshara is now luring the Alliance and Horde navies into this fight. And based on map overlays, his prison is between both island nations. So you can see like a naval battle happening. We had Pillars of Creation. They're all spent. We had the Titans. We had Illidan. They're all off with Sargeras. Silithus, the mess all started with the Sundering. Now we've got, this sword causing another wound in the world. So I think it's basically saying that, everything's coming full circle and it's going to be her time again.
Oh.
So,
mm-hmm.
We know she's going to be in a raid. I don't think she's going to die in the raid, but we know that she's going to be in the raid. And it's like, how do we go from this faction war to Queen Azshara? Oh, look whose prison is in the middle, and I bet the naval armies will clash, and wouldn't it be convenient if they clashed right above N'Zoth's prison, and he could then, take their souls or transform them, and isn't it convenient that we all have these gigantic necklaces of azurite, which is volatile? I'm sure they won't do anything with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's actually a very good point.
So I think that she's orchestrating all this, and we're going to see her in an upcoming raid, and the battle will then be us versus her trying to take over Azeroth.
Do you think in a way this would make the war between the Horde and the Alliance a bit less against each other?
So I'm not sure, but I think that's really interesting how in every past expansion, when there's like a big bad, we're able to put our differences aside and then unite together to take it down. And I think it'd be a really interesting story if it's like, well, what happens when there is a big bad, but both sides are so upset at the other that they ignore the big bad.
Exactly.
Or, they're too weakened to do anything against it. Because it's like, Ulduar, Varian argued with Garrosh, and then they put their differences aside, and then, Lich King, we work together, or, Cthulhu, we work together, Yogg, we work together, Siege of Orgrimmar, we work together. But it's like, well, what happens if we couldn't work together? Or wouldn't work together?
Maybe after Legion, we just would have been simply too strong. This is why we had to have a conflict, so we kind of kill each other off a little bit. We all become weaker, and then when there's a huge threat, and it's like, oh wait, we just made each other weaker. We have to now work together to deal with this threat.
If the navies are fighting against each other, it's like, oh well, that's a way to get a threat out of the way. Just have them destroy each other.
Then it comes back to the title of the expansion, Battle for Azeroth. Like, is this between the Horde and the Alliance, or something bigger than that?
Yeah, when I was, we couldn't record the press release, we could report on it, but when I went to Blizzard for a special press event leading up to the announcement of the release date.
Oh, your voice. Okay, you're back.
When I had the presentation of Blizzard leading up to the announcement of the press release that the expansion date was known, Ian closed the presentation by saying, it was something to the effect that, it's not just an expansion, like it really is a battle for Azeroth, and he's like, there are many like factions or groups that are interested in it. Like I forget the exact wording, but it was something to heavily imply that, it wasn't obviously not just Alliance and Horde, but it really was for like the future of Azeroth. And I think Azshara has a lot to say about this, because All she
Mm-hmm.
wanted was to have the power of Sargeras to shape the world in her likeness, and now she's, to make not a pun, she's making some waves here.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Definitely.
so,
Yeah, she could
uh,
definitely be that other kind of not exactly faction, but another like side to it.
yeah, I also want to point out that when Ian and other people are like, "Oh, Azshara is like the Gul'dan of BFA," everyone's taking that to mean that she'll be the mid-tier boss. But we have to remember that Gul'dan we saw throughout all of Warlords of Draenor, and he was a major. Then he, stole Illidan's body, created a mess on the Broken Shore, and then finally he was a boss. So if Azshara is like Gul'dan, she has a lot more story before we kill her off.
Yeah, so it'd be like next expansion, if anything.
Right. So if anything, it's like, oh, Azshara is like Gul'dan, this character who is so important. He does stuff between, several expansions and
Mm-hmm.
messes stuff up,
Mm-hmm.
to make it more satisfying to, defeat her. But yeah, I'm super curious about all this.
Mm-hmm.
I also wanted to point out one more thing. I'll probably do another article on this, but lots of the old God whispers make sense now that we've seen the cinematic. So, for example, um, there's they're talking about in the sunken city, he lays dreaming. This is the city of old, terrible, unnumbered crimes, which references that really cool Black Empire city we're seeing.
Mm-hmm.
The two obvious ones is that when she's by herself, the puzzle box of Yogg has two quotes. One is the fish knows all the secrets, they know the cold, they know the dark, and at
Mm-hmm.
the bottom of the ocean, even light must die. And in that shot, we have the fish and Azshara by herself without her people, her eyes actually dim and they're not golden for a few seconds, and it's, surrounded by this inky black darkness.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's really cool to seeing all these puzzle box lines and the Shadow Priest Whispers lines and the Il'gynoth lines kind of all
Get
coming
together.
together.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Finally
I think
making a
this
bit
is
more
cool.
sense.
Yeah. But if you want to learn more, we have way more analysis on her in BFA as well as Legion. Like, Ashara's probably pretty mad that we destroyed a zone named after her, and then we took her artifact weapon, stole it from her, and then like wrecked
Yeah.
all the power from it. So I'm sure she's not happy with things, or it's like, oh, we kind of beat her in Azuna, and Suramar, she thought, died in the Sundering. But look, Suramar is alive and well, and her palace was destroyed. Like, I'm sure she's not happy with or like, oh, Xavius was her advisor. Oh, look, we killed Xavius. Like, I'm sure she's not
Mm-hmm.
happy about all these things.
Yep.
And now she's like, well, at least with Sargeras out of the way, I can act now. But yeah, we have lots of articles on this stuff. I love talking about her.
Mm-hmm. It's good. And it's awesome to hear you talk about it too. Like I love it when Perk talks about lore because she knows so much. So
Aw.
I'm just like sitting here like taking it all in.
Aw. Yeah, I really like this one because before this I did a lot of like museum art stuff, and I loved all the visuals with like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, when she says queen, her eyes like flicker golden, or like let's look at all the circles. So I love stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we have even more stuff to talk about. This next one in the
Yeah.
notes, I feel like you were tweeting, you're like, this is the first time I cried on stream.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's true. So we're talking about Jaina, and if you have been playing the Alliance side, actually, I haven't played Horde, but I don't think Horde sees any of this. So if you play through all the quests in Kultiras, if you play through all the three zones quest lines, the main quest lines, you unlock a new quest line, which is the Pride of Kultiras, which basically covers Jaina and her mother, and all the things that are happening in their relationship. And there is a certain cinematic in there which I became very emotional, but I did not expect it to. A lot of people said it's really good, so I was just like, okay, like
right.
I'm getting ready for like continuation of Warbringer. Like
Yeah.
Warbringer didn't make me emotional in that sense. It was just
Yeah.
like that kind of
Right.
feeling. But I was actually very emotional about it. Like I actually could not hold back some tears. It was crazy. I think it's the particular scene with her and her mother. Her mother trying to you know get her forgiveness, I guess you could say, for not being on her side, letting her get exiled. And it was just really emotional to see that part, that sort of mother-daughter emotional setting. And this has all been built up with previously you see her as a child running around in what's the area called, the Thros, is it?
Yeah, Thras, the Blighted
Oh
Lands.
yeah, the Blighted Lands. So it's like you see all these different images and different figures from the past that are haunting Jaina, and everything just kind of builds up. And at the end, to me, her expression seemed a little bit like she's given up, like she did not think that her mother was going to come back for her. And it just kind of broke something in me. Like, I got really emotional and I couldn't believe it. Like, it was the first time in my 3-4 years of streaming that I actually couldn't stop myself from crying. And it was a really sweet cinematic. It was really good. I've never seen such a cinematic in World of Warcraft, I think, before, because it's very like dark, and there's like lots of emotions involved. I'm not sure if that was just my perspective of it.
No, I agree. Usually cinematics, like the Legion ones were amazing, but it was like very big moments, like, Varian sacrifice or Vol'jin
Yeah, it's like
saying
heroic moments, or like, yeah.
But this was really unsettling because it was all, you're in Jaina's head and you're seeing how she's reliving the trauma and that she's experienced a lot of really like horrible people, and it's like the camera work is all jittery, the audio is very unsettling, like you're meant to hear all these whispers going in and out, and the sounds go from like loud to soft instantly.
Mm-hmm.
Jaina herself, like the setting is black, it doesn't look like a traditional place, you're all like just in her head. And the color of Jaina, she's not, she looks like she's fading away,
Yeah.
that she's not fully saturated, and she only comes back to life when her mother finally gets through to her.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, um the editor of the cinematic, Michael Bancroft, was tweeting about how they wanted to try some offbeat things, and they were
Mm.
worried that maybe the cinematic was too weird, but they felt that this was important to tell Jaina's story,
Mm-hmm.
so they decided to go with it.
Mm-hmm.
And there are so many amazing details on this, like with the Arthas one, you hear like Arthas's theme in the background, and with Dalen, you have a lot of exact dialogue from Warcraft 3. And this cinematic also solves the mystery of the anchor necklace that meant so much to Jaina. Like at first we're like, oh, like maybe this is just like an emblem of her people, but we are learning that like no, this was her father's necklace. And even while Jaina was sort of sentencing him to death, you can see that her father was not a nice person a lot of the time, and that she still cared about him to an extent that she kept his necklace as a
Yeah.
keepsake when he
Mm-hmm.
did die. Um, and I also thought that at the end, when she's reliving the sadness of her mother sentencing her, and you see all the figures in the background, like you see, Arthas and her father, and, Varian on the broken shore, and Ronan, that, Ronan sacrificed his life so she could then escape Theramore. And we also see Kindy Sparkshine, who was the gnome apprentice that was killed in
Mm-hmm.
Theramore, and she turned to like pink ash, and that was like the breaking point where Jaina just totally, like, she just was like consumed by rage, like the apprentice was killed and then she touches her hair and like it's just dust, like it was. So
Mm-hmm.
she even shows up in the cinematic, so little details like that are really subtle. And then even the music, you finally get Jaina's theme when the forgiveness happens, but not before, like her
Mm-hmm.
theme music from Mr. Pandaria. So yeah, this cinematic was really well done, and
Oh
I'm
yeah.
glad Blizzard had like the capacity to focus on stories like this, and not like, well, it's not heroic, we can't do it, because so much of Jaina's story you would need to like read a book or like Warcraft 3 to fully understand.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think people understood like, why is Jaina conflicted? And it's like, oh well, look at all these things that happened before World of Warcraft. They're pretty serious. We should actually understand why, you know, it was so horrible for her to lose Theramore, because like she fought for peace, and she sided against her father and helped the Horde, and then, oh, look, the Horde blew up her city. Like, that kind of can spiral someone into a crisis.
Yeah.
That everything they've worked for sort of was for nothing.
I think what you mentioned with the general theme of cinematics, how it's usually like some kind of heroic feeling, some kind of big change or big something happens. Whereas in this one, it's purely emotional, and I think that was what felt very different with it, very unexpected, and it was really cool. I'm actually really glad that they dared to do such a different kind of cinematic, and like you mentioned, focus on more the characters and what goes around them. I really enjoyed it. It was really good.
Yeah. I did want to touch upon the final one after that cinematic, which is, Lady Ashvane is attacking Siege of Borealis. And in the beta, she actually partnered with Azshara, but they removed that, so I don't know if that's like an upcoming thing or an abandoned plot. But basically, we finally learn even more about the necklace, which is this necklace was used to call the Kultiran fleet, and her mother doesn't have the power to do so, and her mother appoints Jaina as the Lord Admiral, and Jaina is able with the necklace to find the fleet that Azshara stole and teleport them to surround Ashvane. And she does so in front of all the citizens of Borealis, so it's like a real public redemption for her. So now everyone that hated her and sung those folk songs knows that she really cares about the Empire. And I'm sure like Azshara is not really happy that the fleet that she stole suddenly was removed from her. Yep. So I'm sure that's not going to go well.
I think there's going to be some kind of backlash there.
Yeah, but yeah, it is really awesome at the end to see that, Jaina is now Lord Admiral. I love that she's Lord Admiral, not like Princess or Lady Admiral. It's like Jaina's the Lord Admiral. She, is kind of taking what she admired about her father, like his, naval prowess, and is sort of forging her own path, one that isn't like pressured that she has to please different people. And she's reunited with her mother, and the citizens are happy, and it's just this like very happy, feel good moment.
I think this cinematic was a little bit more towards, I guess, more common cinematics, because it's a very heroic moment. It's a big moment for Jaina, and seeing that ending, I don't remember the exact wording of her mom, but when she puts it like, she says something and then she refers to her as Lord Admiral, and I think that was the first time she ever did that, right?
Yeah, and
so it was like,
even though that cinematic was more traditional, like the payoff was really awesome watching it, because we had all that build up first of Jaina worrying that her country would hate her, and then they did, and then she went away, and then she was tormented. So you can tell that this means so much to her, that her mother is trusting her with the necklace, and that she's now using her father's necklace for something good, not, like her father that's like, well, I'm going to use this necklace to like wage war on the Horde. So you can tell that she's like trying to take the best of her parents and lead in a better way. Well, we know a battle for Azeroth, though. Maybe it could be horrible tomorrow. But right now, it ends on like a very high moment in the story.
Oh yeah, for sure. It was a really good feeling after having that sort of more emotional cinematic and a bit more questing after that, and then coming into this sort of ending, which just puts the icing on the cake. I think it was really well done. I really enjoyed it.
We should also talk a little bit about the Horde cinematics as well. And I find it's interesting because the Horde opening kind of starts on a high point, like they escape Stormwind, and then like Talanji summons a dinosaur, and then it seems like they're on good terms with the naval fleet, and they all look, powerful, while Jaina is meanwhile exiled. But after these two Horde cinematics that we get as we level up, they don't seem to be in as good a place as they were. Did you level Horde character? I saw some of these on the beta, so I can talk about them.
Yeah, I think it's best if you talk about it, because I won't know the details. I have not leveled a Horde character, but yes, I remember also reading about it when it was on the beta.
Yeah, so basically, Zul has this rebellion against Rastakhan, and he's he does some damage. Like the Loa of Kings is murdered and raised as a evil undead dinosaur. A lot of the council is split against him or flat out killed. And Rastakhan sees his daughter Talanji worrying that, they're not going to win this battle, and he, on his own, without telling her, has this wonderful idea to go talk to Bwansamdi, the Loa of Death, and then tries to broker a deal saying, hey, I don't have a Loa, of Kings anymore. Do you want to be this? And Bwansamdi's like, I need a promise, so you're going to promise me that your bloodline will be bound to me. And that just seems like a bad idea.
Yeah.
Like a really bad idea. And he still won't tell Talanji afterwards. They go try to take the city back from Zul. It seems there's still a struggle to defeat Zul, and as the struggle occurs, Zul is able to have his minion Mithrax blast a hole, breaking the final seal, opening Uldir up. And at the end, Bwansamdi looks really happy about this, and Rastakhan's just like, I've made a huge mistake.
Yeah.
So it kind of ends where, like, Talanji is now promised to Bwansamdi without knowing about this. The Horde have unleashed some sort of old god experiment facility, and Rastakhan is now in this deal with kind of a sketchy Loa of Death, who also wanted Vol'jin's ashes and then was upset they were gone, and is having all these ominous messages that, like, the boss will be unhappy with me. And it's like, who is your boss? Could that be, like, an old god or the Lich King? Like, it seems like the Horde is that, well, the Zandalari are not with the Horde yet, but it seems like the Zandalari Empire started off in a position of relative strength, and now between the successful political rebellion and this deal with Bwansamdi stuff, and, the whole old gods awakening doesn't seem very good, while the Alliance, Kulturas was able to fend off the rebellion, and Jaina and her mother are working together and powerful, and there's no secrets, while meanwhile Rastakhan's like, oh no, everything's fine, Talanji, I took care of it. So,
and speaking of deals, like we just saw now in the Warbringer, N'Zoth has a specific line where he says, deals, I like deals. So the fact that Bwansamdi also is making deals, that could raise a bit of a warning sign there.
Yeah, like Bwansamdi's like, I see, you want to make a deal with me, go on. So you have to wonder that something is, it seems like both factions are interacting with larger forces in ways that aren't great, between the fleet, being given to Azshara, and Zul also working with Azshara, and Bwansamdi maybe also working with someone that is not good. So all interesting, ominous stuff there.
My headset is dying. Just give me one moment.
No. Okay. Where's Breakpaw? Breakpaw, entertain people.
Here. I was trying to do it without taking the headset off, but it just didn't work. All right, I'm back. That's what happens when you have a wireless headset.
So we're about done with the cinematics. So go ahead.
I just wanted to comment something back from the Jaina storyline, because I saw a couple people mention it.
Yeah.
And yeah, in that last scene with the fleets, when she summons the fleet, that's her brother.
Yeah.
Right? And so we weren't even sure about him in the first place.
Right. So that's actually an interesting thing of the story coming full circle, because her father's grief and hatred of the Horde came when the Horde killed one of Jaina's brothers a really long time ago. Now Jaina has this other brother. Everyone assumed he was dead because the fleet had been lost for so long. And, Jaina has sort of, like, brought back a brother everyone thought was dead. So it's interesting how that comes full circle.
So that's even more plus points for her in terms of people trusting her. And obviously she must be happy, bringing back her brother. But still, I think that's... I think that was a pretty cool sort of nice detail there, too.
Yeah. So I really love Jaina's story.
Me too.
So in non-cinematic news, we had some stuff we just wanted to go over quickly because we can't really. There's some interesting secrets that have been found, and if we explained every step of the secrets, it would be a really long show. But instead, we'll just say that two secrets have been found. Initially, people thought that we were going to solve a secret and find the hive mount, which was this cool mount that was like an old god brain and it moved faster if more people were connected to it.
I was looking forward to it.
I know, I was too. But that was not the case.
No.
Instead, we found a demonic goat.
Yeah.
And there's an old god whisperer talking about a demonic goat as well. So, and this old god goat is named Baal. And
it's actually very cute. I mean, it looks creepy, but it's cute. Like the really big eyes.
Yeah. And yeah, you have to go all around the world. There are different pebbles, which was also like a meme in Legion about like using the pebbles to find dog and bring dog to Dalaran. So yeah, you have to find a bunch of pebbles, and then you have to defeat Baal, and then you have this adorable little baby demonic battle pet. And the secret didn't stop there. There is then another long quest line taking you all around the world again. You have to get even rare tailoring items, and that rewards a transmog piece, which is a waste, and it's called Waste of Time, haha. The pendulum tells time, and it's just, it's just like a funny thing. It's like, oh, you spent all this time, and what did you get? You got like a random belt. Yep.
I think it's pretty cool. It's a cosmetic item, right?
Yeah, so
like it doesn't have stats.
Right. But yeah, so big props to the Secrets community Discord for solving this. I know that the Wowhead client was helpful this time. Like, people were like running around and seeing if the client found new object IDs saying it was a pebble or not, and they could then tell if they were close by. So yeah, it's always cool to help them out with data and see the hundreds of people that are in their voice chat trying to try different things. It's really cool as so many people come together.
It is. Secret Finding Discord is awesome.
Yeah.
About the mount, I just want to make it super clear to people. The mount is not in the game.
Right.
Will it be in the future? Maybe, but at the moment, it is not meant to be in the game. There was an official tweet that basically said that the hive mind mount was a placeholder.
Yeah.
So you cannot get the mount. The mount is gone. Will they add it later? Maybe. I hope so. But it's not there. It's not in the game.
Yeah, it was a really cool concept as well. Like the whole idea that you go faster,
really unique.
More people are connected.
Yeah.
And like, I know they're like, oh, it was an old model, but it's like, well, old gods are hip again. So.
Yeah. No, I definitely feel like it could fit.
Yeah.
In terms of like what is happening, but I don't know. I'm not sure if they had like some like kind of mechanically difficult with it in terms of how it's gonna be, because if you keep having more people with a mount and it keeps increasing in speed,
yeah, the server could crash too. It's like when 100 people are connected, like it's like on your stream, it's like Annie, it's like, oh, like everyone join my group and we'll form a gigantic thing, and then it's like, oh, we've now crashed the server.
Yeah, so I'm not sure how it would work in practice, but it sounded really cool. So I was really looking forward to it, but it's gone. It's maybe, hopefully in the future, but for now it's not in the game. There is no secret to find it.
Yeah. In happy news, it's always a little expected, but Blizzard did one of their press releases for the stats on Battle for Azeroth launch. And this time, they've revealed that it's the fastest selling WoW expansion with 3.4 million units sold through launch on August 14th. And this is up from Legion, which was 3.3 million copies.
Honestly, I'm surprised that there's not a bigger difference, because I feel like a lot of people became I guess sad or not very happy with Warlords. So I'm surprised that with the hype of BFA that the number between Legion and BFA isn't bigger. But I was expecting it to be more popular there.
I was a little confused because the phrase fastest selling PC games of all time makes it seem like they were just looking at stuff around August 14th. But then people raise good points like, oh, well, I'm sure they also sold a lot back in January when Allied Races came out. Does that fit into the number, or is that like
Oh, it
too
probably
old to
does.
fit in?
Yeah, no,
Right.
I think it
So,
does because
yeah.
pre-order means that you don't have the item yet, right? BFA is launched on August 14th. So if you pre-order
Yeah.
something, you're still getting it on the 14th. So I
Right.
think they do add those numbers, and that would boost the numbers a lot. I mean, there's a lot of people who wanted to
Hmm.
play the Allied races, therefore they pre-ordered.
Right.
So having that in mind as well, I'm surprised it's only like a point 0.1 million difference between the two expansions.
Yeah, something else I wanted to point out is that the Legion press release had an interesting line that Legion was setting records for concurrent players logged on at once, and there wasn't any mention of that for Battle for Azeroth.
Yeah.
So I think this maybe could be because the high population servers had issues on launch day,
Yeah.
but I think another reason is that the content at max level is staggered more.
Yeah.
So like if you play during the week, you didn't have like a big push of stuff to do on the weekend really.
Mm-hmm.
While in Legion, like I saw this with the site traffic, like um if you were casual, you started leveling on the weekend, and if you were hardcore, you were max level, and you're like, okay, I'm gonna farm my AP, I'm gonna go
Mm-hmm.
unlock sewer more. Like you had another pile of stuff to do, so that weekend had like tons of people playing at the same time.
Yep.
Which, maybe they don't want that now. Maybe they're like, oh, well, we should have staggered stuff out more. So it's deliberate that if you hit max level, you sort of have a very like rigid set amount of things to do and not like explore a new zone with 500 quests.
Yeah, I think the
Um,
staggering definitely made a big difference because as soon as
mhm.
you manage to get to max level, you're kind of like. I mean, I think this is the first expansion. It's only been like 2 weeks, and I know people who have 3 characters already. And
Right.
and I'm not talking about people who are, mythic raiders. I understand like a
Yeah.
lot of mythic raiders, they do want to have ults and, gear them ASAP. I'm talking about like regular, somewhat casual players who also
Hmm.
have 2 3 characters already, and I think that is purely because as soon as you've done your mythic dungeons, you don't really have to do anything else. You can just go and level a new character.
Exactly. So, I mean, I'm not saying concurrent numbers is good or bad. Maybe for the health of the game overall, it's better to be staggered than have everyone play one weekend
I
than
think so
ignore the
too.
game.
Yeah.
But it's just interesting reading between the lines of the press release, what is said, but what also isn't said that was highlighted,
Mm-hmm.
at other times.
Mm-hmm. Indeed. Yeah, because I feel like Legion was such a successful expansion, and yeah, you can see the hype as well on Twitch too. Like World of
Yeah, there's so
Warcraft
many
has been,
people.
yeah, like it's been so much more popular compared to when Legion launched. So I'm very surprised at these numbers. That the difference between the units sold the first day is so little.
Right. I mean, I think maybe people just like watching their favorite people on Twitch and their reactions. So it doesn't really matter what game they're playing. It's like, oh, will this person I watch, will they cry in the Jaina cinematic? Will they, you know, be excited if they win something from an island expedition? Like I almost wonder if there are people that just like watching it for entertainment versus playing it. That sounds weird, but I
Well,
don't
I
know.
mean, yeah, I think
Yeah.
definitely for sure. That is definitely how Twitch works.
Yeah.
But so what would that mean? That they just weren't as good streamers between Warlords and Legion?
Well, I
Like,
feel like Blizzard really emphasized streaming more as Legion was ramping up.
mm,
But at the start of Legion, it wasn't so much. Like I think as Discord got more popular and then stream communities were on Discord,
mm,
or how, all of a sudden Blizzard was at every convention and there was always streamers, doing stuff at conventions, or like the EU launcher, you've been there. Like they always
mm-hmm,
have like a streamer that's being featured. And they didn't really do that sort of thing for Legion, not as much, as I mean maybe they did, but it wasn't as intense as what they did for the lead up to BFA.
mm,
While I feel like BFA, as soon as the beta hit, it's like, oh look, these streamers are showing you the new stuff, and now they're giving away the keys. Both Legion, I don't think with Legion beta streaming was such a like, hype machine.
mm.
It's interesting to see how it evolves, though.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how it pans out, because a lot of streamers also say, like, yeah, I mean, I was this excited at the beginning of Legion 2, but then I kind of lost interest. So I guess we'll see. Like, I'm talking about people who don't necessarily play WoW all the time, who come in for the new expansion hype, and then they end up going somewhere else. But I guess we'll see.
I mean, if it's staggered, so I feel like the RNG is sort of not really fun if you want to stream and you're like, I'm going to do X today, and like you can't really work on a goal. But I feel staggering the content means that you always have something to do, at least on reset day. So you do feel like you should tune into WoW and, play that game instead of some other game.
I'm really curious to see how PvP will end up, because I feel like a lot of times how PvP is also kind of can determine how a lot of the experience of the streamers in the WoW section is, because if PvP is good, I think it brings the general health of WoW up a lot. I mean, obviously the raiding will bring the PvE aspect up, right? But there's
and also
at some
the
point,
Mythic
Plus and also Mythic raiding in general will bring WoW tons of numbers. But once the raids have been cleared, the numbers kind of like, they calm down, and that's when people look at other things in the game, and that's when people start asking. Yeah.
They are like, oh, BlizzCon, like that's when they get people.
That's true. That's true. As soon as everything calms down, it's BlizzCon time. But then, that's when people start thinking about, okay, well, how is the rest of the game? How balanced is PvP? And I'm curious to see how it's gonna pan out.
Yeah. So our next topic is actually on Classic WoW. We if you may remember, like back in the spring, Wowhead was highlighting something called the WoW Diary Kickstarter, and the Kickstarter was closed at the time because it wasn't really promoted well, and it had a really high goal. But the person in charge, John Statz, who's the WoW's first 3D level designer, who worked on like Molten Core and Encourage and Scholomance and Wailing Caverns, lots of places. He has revamped his Kickstarter and relaunched it, and as part of that, he's given Wowhead like special chapters not in the book to promote. He's done AMAs on Reddit, and since his Kickstarter launched on August 28th, it's now up to over $200,000 raised, which is a big change from the first one, which had like $10,000.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And back in the day when he was developing WoW, he's like,
did you say August 26th?
No, 28th.
28th? That's like 2 days.
Yeah. It was crazy.
Oh my god. Okay, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, go on, sorry.
So he relaunched it. We did some promotional work where we had like he wrote a unique thing on Scholomance just for Wowhead, which was awesome. And back in the day, he's like, this project is so crazy and risky. He's like, if it works out, he's like, I want to have this memoir so I know what's up. So he's taking all of his notes from like 15 years ago, and now he's putting this into a book and including, interesting artwork, like old pictures of the Night Elves or old maps he worked on. And it looks really fun. The book is available to Kickstarter backers first. You can contribute with $5, but the digital version is $30, and the actual hardcover version of the book is $40. And what I thought was really interesting is that for $300 you could get a signed press sheet, like like a folio of what like the actual original, I don't know, printing press thing. And they were all sold instantly.
I actually saw that. So there were 20 of them, right?
Yeah, and they're all gone.
And they were $300 each. Yeah, and they're all gone. That's crazy. That's crazy.
So it still runs for about a month. It's kind of funny because the original goal, the first Kickstarter had like one tier of rewards, and the goal was $400,000, and it went nowhere. Ooh. And then this Kickstarter, the goal was $10,000. Prices ranging from $500 to $300, and it's like more than halfway to that original goal of it's at $200K. Yeah. So it's like, is he gonna make that goal anyway?
Ah, look who's here.
Oh,
We got a visitor.
oh,
You don't want to be
Bright Paw,
carried?
where are-
No, 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 no. Wait, let me carry you for a second here. Let's say hi. Let's say hi. There. Look at
Hi.
that. She is so
Oh,
small. There. Here. Look
oh,
here. Look here. There we go.
oh,
Hi. She just came to say hi. I think she must have just woken up.
oh. Bright Paw, where are you? Where is my cat? Bright Paw. He's
Yeah,
like,
she's still tiny. She's still tiny. She just came to say hi. She's been sleeping on my bed. So earlier today, I lost track of her. Like, I didn't know where she was.
that was so cute.
Oh, you saw it, yeah?
Yeah.
I looked everywhere, couldn't find her. And then I was like, wait, that looks a bit fluffy in my laundry basket. And looked a bit close. And I was like, oh my God, she's found herself a little corner in the laundry basket. And she's just been sleeping there. I took a picture and I was like, okay, this is crazy. That is so cute. But yeah, she's still really small. It's funny when I see Brightpaw, that's when I really realize how small she actually is. Brightpaw is really big.
I know. He's like, I don't know. I don't think he's a cat. I think he's like
He's like a lion.
or something. Yeah. He's a night saber.
Mm-hmm. She's
Um,
eating. But yeah, I don't remember what we were saying. I'm so sorry. I got distracted. Yeah,
we were
we're
just
talking about the WoW
the
Diary.
Kickstarter, and yeah, how it's just doing really well, and
Mm-hmm.
like
I'm
he
really
is
happy for him.
awesome, I think. Yeah, like even in the AMA, he's talking about how the portal in Stormwind was for player housing, and he wanted to work. He worked on like Dragon Isles and the Emerald Dream, but it didn't really work out. Or he wanted to have guild castles because he felt that there weren't enough like actual fantasy castles in WoW. And for people that are
Okay,
really old
voice
school,
is gone. I tried to like wait a few seconds because normally it comes back, but I think it's still gone.
test,
Test?
test,
Okay. Still
test.
dead. Brightpaw, are you doing this? Can you please let your mommy speak? Promise she won't look at other cats.
Test.
It's back. It worked.
Okay. Yeah, I
All
blame
right.
him just like putting his paws around the microphone and doing stuff to it. Um, but yeah, I was saying that he had some interesting questions on Reddit as well. Like if you're really old school, you might remember the jump in Wailing Caverns. That was mega annoying, and that was his idea. He thought it was creative, and then he's like, "No, this is actually terrible. I'm glad they removed it."
That's funny.
Um,
Yeah.
he liked stuff like BRD because he thought that it was like an interesting city. It was meant to feel like immersive. It wasn't just like go here, go here, go here. And yeah, he also talked about things like working on the chess room in Karazhan and how quests were not meant to be a way to level. They were just meant to be breadcrumbs to like take you to different areas. And then they realized that quests were amazing. So then like quests became very important. But I think that that's just interesting knowing how the philosophy has changed with stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think a lot of people who played at the time would find a lot of his texts very interesting because he goes into depth of his thought process and everything, right?
Yeah, it's like over 100 pages, and he's been doing a lot of interviews, like the Countdown to Classic podcast, this Reddit AMA, these Wowhead promotional articles. We have another one set for Monday talking about like another interesting thing from Classic WoW. So yeah, it's a really cool thing, and he writes really well, so it's like presented in an engaging way. Like he's obviously very proud to be working on the project, but it doesn't sound like PR speak. He's like, oh, it's like, and then like we didn't know what to do here, so we improvise. Like it's very
like honest.
casual. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Our next topic here is actually back to what we said at the very beginning of the show. You guys might have noticed that we're wearing our, what did you call this? Track jackets?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I told you guys, I don't English, so I don't know the words of things. I was like, Perk, I normally call things hoodies, but this doesn't have a hood, so like, what do I call this? And she's like, yeah, it's a track jacket. And I was like, okay, thank you. I think I interrupted you.
Disclaimer, Blizzard sent me all the Horde ones and Annie all the Alliance ones. So I'm wearing blue underneath for the Alliance, but yeah, so I don't have any Alliance merchandise to show off.
Yeah, I've got the good side, the alliance side. Now, I mean, I think honestly, I don't know if it was a mistake, but I think it's great in terms of showing people because this way we can show both sides, right? So you can show off the Horde stuff, I can show off the alliance stuff.
Yeah, so basically, I mean, it's a great track jacket. It has pockets. Then at the top, it has 2 different colors with a very subtle logo. So, you know, and I also like how this is lined. So it has like a contrasting color here. And it's pretty comfy. It's not too warm. I mean, it's the summer here and we're just wearing this without dying too much. And yeah, it's just, you know, a kind of subtle thing. You could wear it out on if you're like taking a run or errands or whatever. I also got sent this hat, this beanie.
I actually can't find that beanie right this moment, but I have a similar one, but more like a dark blue instead for the alliance.
Yeah. And the fabric, it's not just red, it's like mixed in with black, so it's you know, not super bright in your face.
I also got this sort of a gym bag or something.
This one?
No, the small one, the more plasticky one.
Oh yeah, this one. I think that this could be like a toiletry bag.
I actually mean like the other one, you know, with the one with the Horde sign on it.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
I'm so good at
so what is this called, Perk? I'm sorry.
I don't know. Oh, it's a cinch bag.
A cinch bag?
Cinch.
So, okay.
So like you can, if I took this off, I could pull these strings and then the top would close.
Okay,
and
so
that's the action of cinching something.
When I was younger, we used to use similar bags to this as gym bags, so we used to call them gym bags.
Okay.
But like the Swedish translation for it. So I'm just trying to like translate it directly and hope that it makes sense. Apparently not.
Yeah.
But yeah. So I've got the Alliance logo on it and Perk has got the Horde one.
Yep. And this is in collaboration with Jinx, and as a reminder, Jinx has a lot of other products that are launched for BFA. Like they've got very detailed Alliance and Horde hoodies with like emblems on them. They've got like Sylvanas and Anduin shirts and Kulturas and Zandalar shirts. So they have a lot of cool stuff at Jinx, which we were not sent as part of this package.
Now we can go to the other bags, the ones that look a bit more fancy.
Yeah, are we going with the small one or the big one?
Let's go for the small one since you're carrying that.
Okay, so this is a WoW toiletry bag. It's a bit nicer material. There's 2 zippers on this, and the zippers have a W on it, so you can see you can fit a lot of stuff in it. It opens up. So this is meant to be if you're going on a trip and
like
you
a
have
toiletry bag.
Yeah, makeup or shampoo or whatever. And then like a handy carrier thing.
And the materials are very good as well. So it's like very sturdy.
Yeah. And then if you're going on a really big trip, you can
like BlizzCon.
Yeah. You can get this.
Yeah. I also got one of those there. A big bag. I think this is actually the right side to show you guys. There we go. With the World of Warcraft logo.
Yeah. And then inside, you can't really see it, but it's got like a black pattern with the W on it, very faint. It's all lined, so it's very soft. The back
I think you can kind of see it.
Yeah. The back part also has another snap close thing here. There's small handles, but then there's also
this big one inside.
Yeah, this big one.
So you can put it like over the shoulder or something.
Yeah, and then you can snap both sides together with this. And yeah, I think this bag's pretty cool. There's also extra rings that you could attach more stuff to. Like there's this metal buckle here. There's like this strap here. So yeah, it's very it seems very durable but also very comfortable. And I like how it's faction
definitely very durable. Yeah, it's faction neutral. It looks fancy. Like you could wear this without really necessarily standing out as a gamer.
Yeah.
But still representing. And I also got this puzzle. Yeah, we picked it up at the same time.
Speaking of more like gamer stuff, yeah, we got a puzzle. I've heard from Panzer got one of these too, and she was saying it was really difficult to put together because everything is so dark.
Similar colors, yeah. I can imagine.
I love doing puzzles, so I'm gonna try that later when Brightpaw's not attacking stuff.
I love puzzles too. I used to do puzzles all the time when I was younger, and when I saw this, I was like, I need to do that. But if I do it off stream, my stream will not be very happy. And if I do it on stream, I need a better setup. So I'm kind of like conflicted. Like, how am I gonna do this?
Yeah.
But I love doing puzzles.
And we also got a magnet set for the kitchen. Pretty straightforward. They sort of do these for every game now. Like Overwatch has a few of these packs. You know, we've got like the big magnets, and I hope they do another pack with the art. They've done 3 versions of the art of the people angrily glaring at each other with Anduin and Sylvanas, and now very recently Talanji and Jaina. So I would love some Talanji and Jaina magnets.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point.
And then finally, I feel like I got a shirt and I put it away and I don't know where the shirt is, but I got a bunch of these desks like gaming desk mats. So like you can see here that this is for the burning of Teldrassil, which I'm not going to be using, because that would be like upsetting.
It's like traumatizing. I don't want to be reminded.
But then, yeah, I mean, there's also like, you know,
it does look amazing though. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, there's other ones. So there's the Forlorn Victory, Hope's End, 2 more that I'm.
And this is how big it is. So it's basically for your whole keyboard and a mouse and maybe a cat, if you happen to have a cat. They're really, really nice. Like the quality of them is actually amazing.
Yeah. So.
And the artwork is amazing too.
Yeah. Here are the other 2. So I can maybe use Twilight of Hope. That's not as traumatic. And then I like, again, the orc and the human glaring at each other, which, you know, again, I think it's cool, but I would also love if they did versions of like Talanji and Jaina.
Yeah, I think so too. Like, I feel like it would be more, what's the word, relatable than just like a generic human and generic orc. To have those, like when I use those pictures, I always go for the one with Sylvanas and Anduin because that feels cooler. Yeah. Because they have a personality behind them. Where's these from? These are from the Blizzard Gear store.
I just noticed something really interesting.
Yeah.
So back in January, when they introduced the logo of the orc and human glaring at each other, and then there was like the people fighting in the background, the sky just sort of has a bright spot. But I'm looking at this desk mat, and in the center of the bright spot is the sword of Sargeras.
Oh, wow.
So that detail is new. So let me open this up and see if it's there, because that actually...
Oh, cool. Yeah.
I mean, it's sort of the whole, like, old god thing. Like, you know, like, we're fighting because of the stupid sword. Like, we're not just fighting. Like, you know, we're fighting... Yeah, no, the sword is definitely... there.
Yeah.
So I think that's a pretty interesting detail.
Cool. Yeah, that's a pretty important detail.
Like, it's not just, oh, you know, we're fighting in front of Stormwind. It's like, we're fighting in front of this sword. Like, we caused this.
Because if that hadn't happened and the Azerite wasn't with us, would there have been war?
Right.
Or at least to this extent. Like,
yeah,
would what happened to Teldrassil happen?
And we were discussing how much, you know, Azshara was mad that Sargeras had tricked her, so she's probably really thrilled that Sargeras is not, you know, involved in stuff. So, yeah, it's still, yeah, that's interesting.
Trying to pack it back. These desk mats are so big.
Yeah, I have a mess to clean up after this.
There we go. I got it. Awesome. But yeah, they've got a lot of cool stuff for BFA.
Yeah.
Luna is getting stuck in. If you see me like just looking around frantically, it's because I can hear her and I'm like, is she okay? She's just walking around there. You could see her there for a second.
I know cool merch is, there's even more on the way. Like, there's some designer handbags, and we'll have a discount code live for that very soon. But for now, we have a discount code for basically anything on the shop, it's Wowhead BFA. And with this code, you spend over $10, use the code, and you get a free piece of merchandise. One of 5 different things.
Ooh, I have a picture of that actually.
Yeah.
There we go. So yeah, you spend $10 plus, and you get to choose a free gift, which is pretty cool.
Yep.
Because if you're buying stuff, then you're probably gonna be spending more than $10, because I don't think there's much below $10, and that means you get a gift if you just type in Wowhead BFA.
Yeah, and a lot of them are like collectible pins or backpack hangers or just stuff that's a bit random. So you want to collect a bunch of them to hopefully get like the missing thing you're after.
I'm gonna try and get back into the scene here, because we got Cat visiting.
Yep.
There we go.
Yep.
She's like walking around, trying to say hi, wondering what's going on. She's like newly awoken.
She's like, look at all this stuff for Cat.
She's like, why did you bring all these bags back here? You had just put them away. Yeah, she's really sweet.
Yeah, final call on the giveaway. We'll just run through some questions quick.
Okay.
A few people are asking about Kulturas. We don't know their ratios or what the requirements are. So sorry, nothing to share there. Blizzard's been like very quiet about that, so I think they're purposely hiding that in the data. We have a few questions from people asking in the Azshara raid, will we kill her or befriend her? Will we get rid of her corruption and maybe she could be a good ruler? I don't think she's going to be good, but I don't think we'll be strong enough to kill her, so she'll keep doing her thing, or maybe she'll do something weird like betray N'Zoth to us, but then like be like, oh, well, now I'm in charge and I'm doing bad
I think
stuff.
that's what I want to see, like her versus N'Zoth.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think she'll side with us.
No. Knight Swifty asked about the missing Nazmir cinematic. I know what he's talking about. Like, it's basically basically your character at a weird angle and you were a zoomed in blob. We're actually trying to put together a post on all the cinematics, and I think it might be there. I just need to check because all those cinematics are set to private, so we're not spamming everyone. But yeah, we are aware that people don't know what happened to Nazmir, so we're trying to find the cinematic. Someone, Insane Y'all said, do we have any story of why the Alliance wants to stop what's happening in Eldir, or will that be told in the raid? I don't really know. I think there'll be more story because inside the raid, on the Horde side, you have Talanji, and then on the Alliance side, you have Bran Bronzebeard, who's always kind of the dwarf that shows up when you're talking about Titans and experiments. Yeah, so I think there should be more than that. It does sound a little flimsy, but it will be something involving, his sense of exploration and Titan facilities.
Which I just saw in the chat. Quincy29 is the Horde winner, and BH Rod is the Alliance winner. So remember, you guys, you have 2 minutes to respond, to say something to Sass so he knows that you're here, so that you can claim your prizes. And just as a reminder, what do they win?
It's either an Alliance or Horde, Razor, Naga, Trinity, which is good if you want to, do stuff in WoW.
It's their MMO mice, right?
Yeah, so it has like all the buttons on the side and macro everything.
Well, there you go. Congratulations, boys and girls. Oh, she is in front of the camera. Okay, I think
Aww.
It's okay. I think
Come on, Bright Paw.
Oh,
where are you?
Okay, I know why she's doing this.
Uh-oh.
So there's the World of Warcraft is open in the background, and at the very top of the window you can see there's something flying. They're birds flying, and so she thinks
our friend.
So I think she thinks they're flies or something. So she's trying. Wait, let me just remove this window, so she'll stop chasing them. There we go. I just noticed now, like, she was eyeing them and she was trying to grab them with her paws.
Aw, she's trying to protect you.
She's a real hunter, a huntress.
Yeah.
Huntress. So that's what she saw. So yeah, in the World of Warcraft starting screen, the BFA one, if you guys have it open, you can check. There's little birds at the top there, and she was seeing them and she wanted to grab them. That's what's
I
happening. So
should do that. I
she's
need to put
looking
like
at the
a
screen now.
moving thing on the screen to lure
Yeah.
Brightbot in.
Yeah. Is he interested in the screen in general?
So I mean, he's interested with certain types of effects. Like when I was doing the
Mm-hmm.
burning of Teldrassil,
Mm-hmm.
he could tell I was agitated, and he was like jumping on the screen and swiping at the fire, and he almost
Mm.
knocked the monitor off my desk because he had like put his paws. He was like pushing on the screen
Oh,
to get rid of
wow.
it, and
Yeah.
I was like, okay, Brightball, like I don't like this quest either, but yeah.
Yeah, she's
Uh,
still looking, but she can't see anything anymore, so she's just looking at it.
aw,
Apparently, one of the winners did not respond, so we have a new winner called
okay.
Paroster. Paroster, if you could please respond to claim your prize, you have 2 minutes. So we got one new winner, and this was for the Horde one.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Did we have any other questions?
Uh, Not really. There was like a lot of repeats.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, we also didn't mention at the start of the show that you can send questions to Sass. But yeah, for next show, if you have any questions about what we're talking about, you can send them to Sass, and he will, um, you know, compile them for
Mm-hmm.
us.
Mm-hmm.
You can also ask us on the show or on Twitter, um, you know, what's up with the merch, if you think you should get something, but is it like too big, or does it fit a certain body type, or how do you accessorize? We're happy to answer those questions, as well.
Mm-hmm.
Before we wrapped it up, I just wanted to just highlight some things going on with the site. We mentioned last time to like tune in, something's happening with Allcraft, and now it's public that Wowhead is sponsoring Allcraft, which is more of like a talk show with different personalities talking about what's going on in WoW, less of a structured news show. And we're trying to end our shows around 3 because that's when they start. But we always try to we're highlighting guides on the show, and we're running their Q&As.
Mm-hmm.
And Wowhead has also partnered with Method, which we've done a lot of one-off Mythic Plus Q&As or raid tips here and there. So we're formalizing that, which should be pretty exciting with Mythic Plus being an esport at BlizzCon, and everyone's so hyped to see what Azshara is doing in the upcoming raid. So we'll have a lot of Q&As and interesting videos as we work together.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, lots of content on September 4th. We will make sure we have guides by Fat Boss to Uldir, Mythic Plus stuff. Volk of the Druid Dream Grove Discord is putting his root guides on Wowhead if you like Mythic Plus. We are working with Dieter Sere to have a lot of PvP guides done for the popular arena specs. We have September 4th is a really big day for us with all the guides there, and just wanted to thank everyone for supporting the site so much. Some websites that rank sites based on popularity are estimating Wowhead is more popular than UPS and FedEx and The Guardian
That's
and Wall
crazy.
Street Journal. And
Yeah.
we're one position behind BattleNet, which covers many games like Call of Duty and Destiny and Overwatch. So it's kind of mind-blowing that this little site that just covers WoW is really up there and beating out the
Mm-hmm.
Postal Service.
You guys
So
have done really well.
yeah, thank you.
Yeah, very good job. I mean,
we just
the
we just
hard
want to
work
get
is
the
paying off.
information out.
Yeah.
We're just happy that we're working hard and it's
Mm-hmm.
reaching all the people that are interested in WoW.
Mm-hmm.
So we can help as many people as possible.
Mm-hmm.
So
It's awesome. Congratulations. Well deserved for all the hard work.
thank you.
I also see that the final winner has been chosen, and apparently, so there were 2 rerolls because of AFKs, and apparently the winner had just come back from being AFK. He was something like, "Oh, I forgot about the giveaway, right? That's still going." And then a minute later, he's the winner. So congratulations, Rada. Congratulations.
Awesome.
But yeah, just be in contact with Sass, and he will hook you guys up.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we're about wrapping up.
Mm-hmm.
Allcraft should be starting soon with
Mm-hmm.
Preach as a guest. So definitely tune into them as well. And if you have any questions for Preach, there is a Wowhead tweet that you should respond to, going into, just ask them anything and they'll answer that in that part of the show. So,
and we'll be hosting the show as well, so you can find out.
Yep.
I think that's about it from us tonight, guys. It's we had a short break, as mentioned before. BFA launched, and I was also traveling to Gamescom last week, so no show then. But now we're back on track, covering all the news and everything that's going on. If you're new to Wowhead Weekly, we do this every week, as you may have guessed from the name, and we cover anything World of Warcraft related, which has been going on in the past week. Sometimes we may cover some other Blizzard games too, if they have a character that is in the sort of World of Warcraft world, or in the Warcraft world, then we might cover them too, or if it's just interesting in general. But most of the time we just cover World of Warcraft stuff, because that's the game that we love the most.
Yep.
And thank you guys for hanging out, supporting. Congratulations again to the winners. And we will see you guys again next week. Also, quick shout out to the people who are watching from or on the Wowhead front page. Hello, you guys. We are on Twitch, in case you're wondering, like, what is this video playing? Where are these guys playing? Yes, this is live. We are talking right now. And you're very welcome to join the Twitch chat now or in the future to, have your own input, questions, or any kind of comments. Also, a quick thank you to you guys who are using the Wowhead website and also decide to subscribe. The Wowhead Premium subscription, as it's called, it helps support Wowhead, of course, and gives you perks like removes all the ads and gives you your own color when you're typing in the forums. And there's also some other perks that you can make use of on the website. So,
So also, again, shout out to Razor for giving us the cool prizes. We usually give away like a pet or something, but having 2 awesome mice is a pretty awesome giveaway. So thank you to them for sponsoring the show this week and those awesome prizes.
Yeah, it is awesome indeed. So instead of having 1 winner of 1 pet, we have 2 winners of real gaming mice. So that's cool.
Yep.
But yeah, we'll see you guys next week. I saw a last second Prime sub, Rosalind. Thank you very much for the subscription. Also, you guys who are sub to the channel, if you join Discord and like connect your accounts or whatever, you can get the I don't know what the rank is called, but it's a special rank for being a subscriber.
Yeah, I think it's you get like an orange color. So yeah.
So you can go and get that as well if you want to, if it interests you. You can join Discord anyways. It's pretty good. But yeah, we'll see you guys next time. It's legendary. Yeah, Perk, you can't call it orange. It's legendary.
Sorry. There's no legendaries in BFA now, so it's like, I forgot that was a thing.
It's artifact.
Yep.
But yeah, bye-bye, everyone. And, you saw this. Like, Luna was running around for like 5 minutes, and now she's sleeping again.
That's not Bright Paw.
Right in front of me. She's just like laying here asleep already.
That's me. Yeah.
Just like passed out. I have a blanket here because she kept falling asleep in front of me. So I just put down a blanket so she can have like a soft, what's it called? A soft surface. And she's just sleeping.
Yeah.
Anyways, thank you guys so much for supporting and hanging out. And we'll see you guys next week.
Yep.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Oh, we need the high five.
Oh, yeah. 1, 2, 3.
I forgot she's here. I was like, I'm so smart. I'm so smart. I'm going to have a sound effect for the high five this time. And I woke her up. No, she's sleeping again. She got up, looked at me with big eyes, but then she's okay now. She's sleeping again. That was so derpy of me. I feel so bad. Poor Luna. Oh no, she's comfortable. She's rolling on her back, expecting belly rubs. All right. Yeah, she's okay now. She's okay. She's forgiven me. All right. Take care, guys. See you next time.
Yep. See ya. Bye.
Bye-bye.